Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. We're here with the Warriors of Chaos, going to be fighting up against the Tomb Kings, so let's go ahead and jump straight to the army compositions. So, for my Lord, I do have a Chaos Lord up on a dragon here. Of course, the Chaos Dragon does have flaming attacks, as all of the High Elf Dragons do as well. Heavy armor piercing damage. Of course, he can also take this item here, the Pendant of Slaanesh, which gives him 44 melee attack, which is massive, and 24% speed. He already has 90 speed, of course, on the dragon, which means in other matchups, you can potentially chase down other flying lords or heroes with this. He, of course, has a breath attack as well, and I've also got Stand or Die. In terms of the infantry corps here, we've got a whole front line of marauders here. These guys are just here to kind of soak up arrows, Shabti great bow fire, soak up some charges, and potentially cut through some skeletons. The main anti-large armor piercing, what's going to deal with the constructs, is 2 units of Chosen, who look absolutely awesome. Probably my favorite looking infantry unit in the game. I mean, just look at those helmets, man. They're absolutely brutal, super cool. And Chosen with halberds are finally the elite tier halberd that they should be. The king of the crop in terms of the halberds. These guys can lay a beating on any, heavily armored large unit. To back them up, we've also got 2 units of Chaos Spawn, so I definitely don't think these guys are a competitive pick. They're more of just, kind of fun deal. They can do some work against Tomb King's infantry, and they're also unbreakable, which means they can at least clog up Tomb King's constructs, those that cause terror, and might otherwise tear route off Chaos Warriors and things like Trolls. The idea with the Chaos Spawn is that they have the mass to kind of pin them in place, which then allows the Chosen to come in and deal the damage with the halberds. In addition, we've also got a unit of Chaos Knights with lances. These guys are absolute MVPs in this matchup. Tomb Kings in general tend to struggle with heavy cavalry, heavy shock cavalry, especially elite tier heavy shock cavalry like Chaos Knights with lances coming in at 1500 points. They are quite expensive, but they carry an insane charge bonus of 80, 46 weapon strength, great combat stats at 42 melee attack and 34 melee defense. And these are raw combat stats. That's no martial mastery shenanigans like the Dragon Princes have. 120 armor. They also cause fear, which is not super pertinent in this matchup. Well, I guess it is in that they're immune to fear. But they can put a beating on any Tomb King's infantry. If they catch a unit of, say, Ushabti on an open field in a charge, they'll do a ton of damage to them. To support, we've also got a Fire Sorcerer here. Of course, fire is very good against the Tomb Kings, and to help synergize with the fire damage on the Lord here, we want to be proccing that Kindle Flame lore attribute. Every time you cast a spell, 22% map-wide weakness to fire. Stack that with a Flaming Sword of Ruin, potentially on these halberds here. Again, against the Tomb King Lord on a construct. Or the Burning... I've also got the Burning Head here, which is to help clear out chaff. Again, most Tomb King's infantry is relatively low armor. Even Tomb Guard, which my opponent does have a few of here, are relatively low armor, so the Burning Head is going to be very good against them. So now let's go ahead and take a look at my opponent's build as my Chaos Knights come charging in for an early charge here. He does have a front line of Tomb Guard here. You can see that is Cetra on the Kemerian War Sphinx out there. We've also got a Necro Sphinx. This is not the Regiment of Renown, just the regular old Necro Sphinx. 2 units of Ushabti, a Necrotect with all the goodies, looks like, and the Ushabti Great Bows here. And I believe that's everything. So let's go ahead and kick things into full gear as my Chaos Knights pull away from this engagement. Cetra's going to be dropping that Vortex spell right in the center there, and not really doing too much, but so far so good. We're just going to be advancing up across the main line here, dropping this dragon down into early combat with Cetra, kind of breaking his charge there. This is probably a little bit premature. I had meant to pop a lot of buffs here, but I was a little bit sloppy on my micro, so I'm not getting that Pendant of Slaanesh. I also probably should have brought Cascading Fire Cloak, would have been very useful in this situation, but we do have a spawn getting in here now, just tearing apart these Tomb Guard, just breaking their bones, so to speak. The Chosen with halberds also going to be getting right in on this Necro Sphinx here. We're also launching a Burning Head straight down the Tomb King's line, just roasting tons of these skeletons here, doing quite a bit of damage to those relatively expensive Tomb Guard. Over on the far side here, you can see the Marauders are getting cleaved up pretty badly by the Ushabti. Chosen with halberds that will definitely stand in here and trade very well. My Lord took a ton of damage from Cetra there, so I had to pull him back away, but I did manage to get him back up in the air. Did fail to mention I do have 1 unit of Aspiring Champions, who, wow, they're just about as tall as Ushabti. That's pretty impressive. They're just here for leadership support, and, you know, they're not really meant to do a lot of damage in this particular matchup, just to help anchor the leadership of a lot of these units together. We did break through with the Chaos Knights with Lances and going to be inundating on these Ushabti. They're trying to flee away. They're not as fast as the Chaos Knights with Lances. We're going to be able to catch them and shut them down eventually. So with that unit effectively negated here, we'll go back to the mainline combat where these Chosen with Halberds are still holding up very well against the Ushabti. Ushabti do have an anti-infantry bonus, but Chosen with Halberds just have amazing stats. 54 defense, 36 attack, with a massive bonus versus large. 26, 31 armor piercing damage. They're a force to be reckoned with, for certain. So we're dropping the dragon back into combat one more time just to try and do a little bit of damage to Cetra here. Well, the Necrosphinx is coming after us pretty aggressively. We've been able to do a lot of damage with those Chosen with Halberds here. And you see how these constructs are having a hard time pulling through because of the Chaos spawn there? That's exactly what they're meant to do. They're dealing a lot of damage to the Tomb Guard, and, you know, they're not going to do the most damage to the Ushabti. They'll put a little bit of a beating on them, but they're mostly just here to clog things up in the middle and not allow these constructs, the large constructs specifically, pull around and get on my high-value targets. So far so good. It's going pretty well. You can see the balance of power is pretty well in my favor at this point. The Chosen with Halberds are definitely a force to be reckoned with, and there's not really too much that my opponent has at this point that can deal with them very effectively. With a lot of his chaff and support units gone, the constructs are going to be very vulnerable to getting inundated. This unit of Chosen with Halberds is just about finished off this unit of Tomb Guard on the far side here. Yeah, you can see Cetra is trying to pull through here, but again, the spawn just doing a great job of kind of clogging things up here and really not allowing him to get mobile like he needs to be, and this Necrosphinx as well, just taking a ton of damage from these Chosen with Halberds here. We've got the Chaos Sorcerer in here as well, and he is going to go down, so flinging a few of those Chaos Marauders back. And yeah, pretty good stuff so far. Tomb Guard are crumbling all across the board. Ushabti are, you know, they're alright for now, but all these units, as they kind of collapse in on them, they're going to start to lose their leadership. And I figure it's pretty safe now to drop down, where Cetra is all clogged up in the Chaos Knights with Lances, who had finished off that unit of Ushabti. You can see their corpses out on the far side there. But yeah, Cetra's going to take some rear attacks from the dragon, and with the balance of power shifting pretty rapidly against him, things are not looking good. We've got Ushabti crumbling over here. More Ushabti just about to crumble here in the center. The Necrotech is still fighting. Necrotechs are pretty hard to kill when they're just on foot, but yeah, it's not going to go too well. Flaming Sword of Ruin being dropped on all these units, meaning they're going to get a huge damage spike on Cetra, and the Imperishable is indeed going to expire here. So very well played to my opponent. Super fun battle, very cinematic stuff. And I definitely wouldn't say that the Chaos Spawn are competitive in this matchup by any means, but, you know, they can definitely play a role here, I think. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple things as we look at the post breakdown here. So, well played to my opponent. In terms of the army breakdown here, Chaos Knights with Lances, like I was saying, absolute MVPs here. Obviously, my opponent didn't have any Tomb Guard with Halberds, but even Tomb Guard with Halberds, if you catch them on a side charge, a rear charge, or even if they're just unbraced, Chaos Knights with Lances will do a ton of damage to them because they just don't have the armor to really stand up to heavy shot cavalry. And then if you cycle charge effectively with them, you can do a lot of damage to the construct units, especially if you get a clean open field charge on something like the Ushabti, like I was able to. You can see the Ushabti only got 4 kills, no chevrons there, so very good stuff. The Chaos Spawn got decent kills, not the best, but mostly they were just there to kind of clog up the, you know, the Necrosphinx and the War Sphinx with Cetra, and they did their job pretty well. Allowed these Chosen with Halberds to both get some XP chevrons, 1 here and 2 here, 43 and 45 kills, and of course a lot of damage coming against the Necrosphinx and against Cetra. Fodders, Chaos Marauders, I almost called them Chaos Fodders, that's pretty much what they are. The Chaos Marauders doing a good job of kind of soaking the charge there. And the fire damage is pretty self-explanatory. A little bit underwhelmed by the Chaos Dragon. Of course, I didn't time the buffs super well. If I had brought, for example, what is it, Cascading Fire Cloak, let's go ahead and take a look, and we'll kind of talk about some things. So if we come here to the custom battle screen, we can look at the Warriors of Chaos, and up against the Tomb Kings, I mean, obviously you could probably just make the argument of going with Kolek and a Fire Sorcerer. You know, with Flaming Sword of Ruin, he can still get that fire damage to 1v1 with Tomb King's characters. That being said, if you want to have some fun, you can take the Chaos Lord up on a dragon. He gets the flaming attacks. These buffs I'm not too crazy about. You can probably cut Foe Seeker and Deadly Onslaught. Pendant of Slaanesh is really nice. You don't really need the Filth Mace in this particular scenario, I don't think. So if you do something like that, then you stack that Pendant of Slaanesh with the Cascading Fire Cloak here. So when you cast Cascading Fire Cloak, of course, it'll proc Kindle Flame, meaning you get this 22% weakness to fire. And then that does also increase your armor piercing damage, so you get the bonus to melee defense, melee attack from the Pendant of Slaanesh, and armor piercing damage. I think it'd work out a little bit better. I think the Chaos Lord would fare a little bit better than he did there against Cetra. Granted, one thing to note, guys, about the Kemrian War Sphinx, if we go ahead and take a look at it here, the Kemrian War Sphinx is actually bugged, where it consistently applies its charge bonus every time it attacks another large entity model, like a dragon, for example. So, even though it's not an anti-large type monster, it does do pretty heavy armor-piercing damage, and it'll apply this 80 charge bonus almost every time it attacks. So it's going to do a lot of damage to large targets, even something like a Shaggoth. I've seen Kemrian War Sphinxes beat Shaggoths one-on-one, so just, you know, a little bit of a PSA for you guys who are going to be playing some multiplayer. So I thank you very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe. I'm keeping it coming with more Total War Warhammer 2 content every single day, so stay tuned for more, and we'll see you next time.